Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all the audience here. And today, welcome to the forum once again. And I think today's forum is one of the most interesting I have ever hosted, because we have all over Malaysia, we have invited all of the masters of language. And today I would like to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Muafi bin Muhammad Naim. He is a polyglot who is the most famous in Malaysia. He has mastered several languages such as Portuguese, Spanish, Japanese and English. And go on to the next panelist is Dr. Muhammad Said Akif bin Said Azli. He is a lecturer in IPG-Pelajar who is known for his vivacious vibe. And the third panelist is one of the most uprising businessmen in Malaysia, Mr. Aiman bin Faisal Aris. He, as we know, he is the most, as we could say, a glib tongue. He is very good with his language. It's very persuading, I could say. And last but not least, our panelist, Dr. Muhammad Kimi. He is the founder of International Schools of Malaysia. Okay, so masters of language, I could say. My first question would be, what do you think when you learn a new language? I mean, for example, what is your thought process? How do you think when you learn new language? Maybe English, Japanese, or so on. Okay, panelist one. Okay, thank you for the moderator, Mr. Harish Patiban. And yes, humbly thank you for all my friends, panelists here. Okay, so as you know, I am a polyglot. So when you say what is my thought process when I learn a new language, so I think when I learn a new language, I would always refuse to think in my mother tongue, which is Malay. So for English, I think it is an exception because I learned English for almost 10 years. I learned since primary school, secondary school. So I think English is an exception. Or maybe I think when I learn Spanish, I refuse to think in Malay. I refuse to think in English. I think in Spanish. So whenever I think in Spanish, I think it's unconsciously, subconsciously, I think I will get more fluent with it. So I think that's how I think when I learn a new language. So I always learn the grammar first, the vocabulary first. So I think that is the most essential part when you learn a new language. So how about you? Thank you, moderator.
From my point of view, I think learning a new language is not quite hard. I think it's quite easy because if you want to learn a new language, you need to deeply immerse into learning, because when you learn a new language, you're not just learning about the language, you also need to learn about the culture, how the people think, and also part of that. So I think from my point of view, learning a new language is not quite hard and something fun that you can do. Passing to panel 3, what about you? What do you think?
Well, this topic is quite interesting, and thank you for all your thoughts. But for me, I think that when you learn a new language, you will get to open opportunity to make friends with other countries. So when you make friends with other countries, you can expand your network. So for me as a businessman, the network is an important thing. It's a major thing because when you have network with other countries, you will have the opportunity to expand your business all around the world. So when you learn a new language, you can also make a great relationship with other people. When you make a great relationship with other people, it's gonna make your business expand more. And one more thing that I'm gonna add is, when you learn a new language, it might be hard for the first time, but if you consistently learn new words every day, I personally think that it's not going to be a problem in the future time. So how about you, panel 4?
Thank you, panel 3.
for my personal thought, I usually believe people learning a new language because of the curiosity that they have in their life. Because it gives a really excitement when you learn a new language. Like you can immerse in their culture, in their world with a language lens. But after you learn a language, you find frustration in your life because of what? Because learning a new language have really many problems. Like you need to understand the grammar, you need to make a new vocab, you need to really understand how that language works. So it really give a fair amount of frustration when you learn a new language. But with the patience you have, you learn a move by a move, practice by practice, you will definitely learn a new language better.
Okay, for the next question, our panelists, what is the most challenging part when you learn a new language? Is it the grammar? Is it the structure? Is it the slang? So I think for this question, I would like to pass on to panelist 3. Thank you.
So thank you, moderator, for asking a great question for us. Well, for me, I think that when you learn a new language, some would have different pronunciation. So it might be difficult for the first time for us when we listen to this pronunciation. Like there's a same word, but the sound are not the same. So when you can't pronounce it right, people that from the country might misunderstood us. So it is one of the challenging part. But if you try, practice it daily, not daily, I mean regularly with the locals there, I think it's not going to be a problem. Second thing that I'm going to add is the confidence. People might have the expertise on speaking the new language, but not a lot of people have the confidence on speaking it. Might be because of the judgment of other people. Maybe they are scared of being judged by those people. Maybe they are scared of making a mistake. But for me, I think making a mistake is a really great process for success. So how about you, Kim?
Thank you for panel 3. From my point of view, I think when you learn a new language, there are many challenge parts like vocabulary, grammar, writing. But from my experience, in my age 50 years old, like 60 years old, like that, I try to learn Japanese because I found an assignment to learn Japanese. When I learn Japanese, I found out the writing style of Japanese. There are 3 types of writing style. There are katakana, hiragana, and kanji. The challenge part in the writing style of Japanese is katakana and hiragana is just like the same, but when you learn kanji, it have 1,000 words like Chinese, so it gave a challenge part in there. Other than that, when I learn Japanese, the vocabulary is little bit hard to learn a new vocabulary in learning Japanese. And another is grammar. Grammar in Japanese do not work like in English. Like in English, we know it work like subject, verb, and object, SVO. But in Japanese, it work like subject, object, verb, SOV. And additionally, in Japanese, each of the verb have their level of politeness, and that can add more complexity. So I think the most challenging part, they are basically from many aspects in learning a new language. What do you think, panel 2?
Alright, thank you, panel 3. That's quite long explain.
Thank you.
From my point of view, I think the most hardest the hardest part to learn a new language. I will give you an example. in English, when you learn grammar, you need to learn a full bullet points under the grammar, like pronouns, nouns, coordinated conjunction, like all of that. So I think that's the most hardest part for me, I think. So furthermore, you can also learn that not all language use the same structure. Like in Malay, for an example, botol air. In English, water bottle. So it's like a switch up for the structure. So I think if you're not learning a new language, you don't know that the structure of the language, of each language, are not the same. So I think that's the most hardest part, I think. So thank you.
Okay, so when I always get asked this question, what is the most challenging part when you learn a language? So me as in a humble servant, me as a polyglot, I think I have more experience than other panelists here who learn language, but they learn language more to teach. But me, I learn language to talk, to speak in a public speaking, or maybe when I am making content. So I think the most challenging part, because I have learned many language, so I tend to switch up the grammatical maybe. So I think maybe the most I think I will switch up between Spanish and Portuguese. So I give you an example. So Spanish, you know, we have gender is like Arabics. You know, we have the feminine and masculine. So I tend to maybe switch up. Maybe for English and Malay, we do not have to use the masculine and feminine. For Arabic and Spanish, they have the maybe the feminine and masculine. For Spanish, we have le and la. Those two words tend to use to differentiate between feminine and masculine. So I think for me it is not hard, exactly hard for me to learn a new language, because I think I have the most experience when I learn language, and it is my passion to learn the language. I love talking, I love speaking with locals. When I learn language, I love to talk with people. I play on my TV. I watch YouTube. I talk with workers. I talk with students. I learn their behavior. So I think it is not exactly challenging. And yes, I think that's a great question from the moderator. Okay, I think we have gaining insightful idea, suggestions from all our panelists here. So we are short in time here. So I think the last question would be a bit more personal, as I may have realized that every panelist have learned language in different level of depths. Some learn to how to talk with people, some learn how to be persuasive, learn how to teach others. So my last question is, what do you realize when you learn the new language? Okay.
Right. Thank you, moderator. I think that's the next question. As you all know, me myself, I graduated from Harvard University from learning the English for 5 years. So for five years, I've been there. I got to learn the culture of them. So as I said in the question one, when you learn the language, you need to immerse to the culture to understand more about the language. For example, you need to know the slang and everything. So I think it's the most interesting part, I think, for me, because uh, I got to know how people there thinking and how they are organizing the the culture. So it's a whole different level from our culture. So I think that's the most touching heart for me, and to gain more encourage to learn the new language. So passing to the panel 2,
Thank you,
panel 3.
panel 4.
Panel
Thank you,
four.
panel 2, for the passing to me. The first thing, as you guys know, I learned Japanese while I was young in high school because I want to pursue my education in the Japan country, because we know Japan is a unique and beautiful country, and also Japanese is home to the global companies. We also know Japan can give opportunity to pursue a career in technologies, marketing, and international level job. So, while I was pursuing my study in Japanese, I realized one thing when I really fully understand English. The thing is, as you guys know, many people was impressed by Japanese culture, whether it's traditional food, art, cartoon, manga, or etc. So when I finally understand Japanese language, it can deepen my understanding in their culture. So I can enjoy and experience that all without to see the subtitle or translate. So that really give a touching heart moment for me as a student that pursue career in Japan country and learn Japanese as my new language. Thank you. So what do you think, panel 1?
Okay, I think I have never heard that question. So I think for me personally, as I have always said, I love learning new language. I think learning a new language is a form of art. So whenever I learn new language, I got to learn the component of the language, the structure, the grammar. However, for me, I think the most important part of all, I think it is the slang. You need to imitate how the locals talk. I do not say that you must learn how every slang taught. Even Malaysians, we have various slangs such as Kelantanese, Kedahan, and so on. So I think that's what made me realize when I learn new language. It gives me pleasure. I love researching. I love getting tension, stress in my brain. So learning a language, it gives me a sense of accomplishment. I think I could say. So, and I think the most touching part is when I learn a minor language. I love the direction when I speak in the language. Not just speaking, but speaking almost fluently, just as local. So when they come to our country, Malaysia, they tend to find. They tend to not find someone who speaks the language. So when I speak their language, I love it. I love their reaction. I love their smile. I love when they talk to me. So I think, yes, it gives me a sense of accomplishment. So I think that's all from me. I think we'll pass on to Pindustry.
So thank you for all your opinion. It's actually a great question because it made me think a little bit. So, as you all know, I'm a businessman. I've met a lot of people to do business things. For me, I personally think that when you learn a new language, these recent days, I go to United Kingdom. I met with a client who was from British. So, when the business deal go, I try to put a little bit of effort like you said, it made them interested. Yes, it is true. When I say their accent, they kind of surprised, like, wow, you're so good. So it's kind of give me a great image of me as a businessman. So, alhamdulillah, the business deal thing
Alhamdulillah.
is success. So, and I'm gonna add one of few things about this new language. When you learn a new language, especially for all the people that listen to us, when you learn a new language, it will make you get more job opportunity. For example, in Malaysia, I think one of the famous language is Mandarin, right? So if you go to Pulau Pinang, a lot of job in Pulau Pinang require Mandarin. Even though you don't have a degree, you don't have a diploma, you only have SPM, but you have a Mandarin, you know Mandarin, you can speak Mandarin well, you can easily apply to the job and get the job. So this shows that when you learn a new language, you can get a lot of job opportunity that can pay you well. And I think one of the job is translator. The translator pay you well. Like when the political person try to go to other country, they need this translator. So it make the conversation going well. It make these both parties understand each other, so that there will be no misunderstanding in the future. So yeah, it is really interesting for me.
Okay, so okay,
Ya, biar.
aku rasa ni pas kat Aresh cakap.
Biar.
So kita kena bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay. So, 2, 3.
Bye.
Tidak, dia rekod baru. Apa rekod baru?
Ha?
Apa rekod baru?
Rekod baru. Tak payahlah, aku nak edit lagi. Aku ingat aku edit apa.